A couple of thoughts. One, it sounds like I didn't realize the foreign entities in the ports. I mean, it sounds like the beginning of a Tom Clancy novel that could
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
bringing
mean,
in
I'm sure
espionage and
you'd
all that
have.
kind of stuff. Yeah. So, and then the second point, just to hear that unions are holding a company hostage from trying to become more efficient. That's also a new one to me and a shocker that could actually be
It's
happening.
not, but
No,
yeah.
but so we're it sounds like we're really down to three major carriers. From a price standpoint, are these carriers fairly comparable? I mean, does it seem like it's maybe? I guess maybe you couldn't say there's collusion, but is it almost just kind of a wink, wink? Everybody understands they're going to be paying what they're going
Yeah,
to
I
be
mean,
paying.
there's always been collusion issues with carriers and stuff in the industry. Like there have been, some antitrust busts and different things, and people getting um, being found guilty of collusion in different areas, even over recent years, um, of some of these carriers and stuff. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's not that it's three carriers, but it's all the major carriers into the kind of these three groups where they work together. So you got the 2M, um, and actually I could even probably pull up my little bracket somewhere if I could find it quickly. I could like list who's in these things, but you got the THE Alliance, the Ocean Alliance, and the 2M are your three big alliances that really dominate all of shipping.
Are these private
And
companies or are these publicly owned companies?
so no, each one of these, each carrier inside of these alliances, is its own corporation or whatever. But I mean, some of them, like Costco, you're talking kind of the
State-owned.
state-owned sort of thing, where
Right.
where the where the government has a big stake in it. Hanjin, which I mentioned a couple times, it was one that was kind of a state, at the very least, kind of subsidized, kind of kept it afloat when things were kind of rough in the business. But it wasn't doing very well, and eventually they just stopped subsidizing it, and it completely collapsed, and went bankrupt. And it was this massive kind of shock in the industry. But we already had these alliances, and it was a member of one of the alliances, and so its ships, like like suddenly couldn't come in and bring in cargo that like shippers had made deals with other carriers to handle. But it was on a Hanjin ship because it was in an alliance with them, where they, all they're supposed to do is share ships in these alliances. So they're not supposed to be able to talk about freight rates or collude on freight rates or anything like that. But of course, every time that you have like surcharges hit, they tend to hit from a whole bunch of carriers all at once, the same time, approximately the same amount, where the rates go up. And uh, yeah, it's tricky to try to sit here and say that this doesn't result in much less competition going on out there, and much higher freight rates. I mean, it's something that I've blogged about quite a bit over the last
Yeah.
10 years here, and have like, saying you should not be allowing like these kinds of alliances to happen. This seems like this would be an antitrust kind of issue, and it really has really created some issues in the industry.